Hey folks, I'm sure by now you've heard of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah and all the things that they said in it. Now, up until this point, I haven't felt any need to comment on it. I think that's actually a pretty private matter. Yeah, they were sharing it with the world, but these are people who are obviously experiencing pain. It's a family that is experiencing pain, a family that's experiencing strife. Up until this point, I didn't feel any need to comment on it until I stumbled across an American pastor by the name of Shane Vaughn. And Shane Vaughn, he decided he was going to speak up about it. And what he said was that Meghan Markle is a Jezebel. You've heard that term thrown around before, just recently, about another accomplished, educated, successful woman. Anyway, he called her a Jezebel because she was trying to destroy the royal family. He said that Harry needs to grow up to be a man, to be a prince, that he needs to do right by his family, that he needs to square things away with this Meghan. He said that she would never kill herself. Ain't nobody committing suicide, he said. She loves herself too much to kill herself. She's a narcissist. If this was a Ben Shapiro saying this, I wouldn't have anything to say. That's up to them. If this was some British talk show host saying it, I probably wouldn't say anything. If this was some Canadian pundit, I probably wouldn't say anything. But this guy's got pastor in front of his name. And when the media, when they pick up on this story, they say Christian pastor, Shane Vaughn. And now I feel like I've got a reason to say something. Because this response of his was about the furthest thing. About the furthest thing from a pastoral response that I ever heard. Now, maybe he's not a pastor in training. Maybe he's just accepted that title. And if so, he should give the title back. Because pastor does mean something. It means something really important, especially in the church. It's a caregiver. It's somebody who's supposed to be there to listen, to take care of others. It's not a judge. It's not a jury. And it's certainly not a talk show pundit offering their opinion for the amusement of their audience, offering their opinion to pander to their audience. A pastor is someone who cares for the people that's been entrusted for them, who actively cares for the needs of the people who've been entrusted to them. Now, she's not a member of his church, and I understand that, but she's a human being. Pastors are responsible for the human beings of this world, whether they go to your church or not, whether they put an envelope in the plate at your church or not, whether they make donations at your church or not. A truly pastoral response to Meghan Markle's interview, especially to the part where she confessed that she was feeling suicidal during her pregnancy, is not to offer a judgment. It's not to say, oh, you'd never kill yourself, you love yourself too much, you're a narcissist. It's not to say, you're just an attention hog. It's all you see, all you care about is the press. All you care about is being on camera. That's not pastoral, that's judgmental. Pastoral responses require us to use these things on the sides of our heads. It requires us to use our ears. It requires us to listen for the story of the other person, to enter into the story of the other person. It requires us to do everything we can to actively absorb what it is they are offering us. Requires us to speak only, to ask questions that allow that person sitting across from us to go deeper, to reflect deeper, to describe the situation in greater detail, to ask questions that help us empathize, to help us find our way into their shoes more and more and more. A pastoral response would be to offer compassion, to offer love, unconditional love, regardless of whether or not they're telling you something you want to hear. Offer them love. Being pastoral requires a person to be more than a judge. It requires a person to be greater than a judge. Being pastoral requires a person to be a person. Being pastoral requires a person to want to connect with others in meaningful ways. Pastor Shane Vaughn maybe should reconsider that title of his. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you, and may you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that when you have those moments where you are called to be a pastor to someone, you'll listen. You'll seek to enter into their story, to feel what they feel, to experience their journey for yourself, so that you can truly be there with them. And if given the opportunity, to help lead them through it. Amen.